Max Records and Billy O'Brien, how are you both today?
Oh, yeah, good.
Well,
Yeah, welcome to Ireland. Are you
Thank you very
welcome
much.
home, I
Yeah,
guess.
I was going to say, yeah. I've never been here before. Yeah.
I want to congratulate you both on the film because it's been a long time since I've seen anything which was this unsettling to watch.
Oh, cool.
And from scene to scene, I had no real idea what was going to happen next. And you know the way films are these days, you're like, well, okay, 5 minutes in, this is how it's going to end. And I have to congratulate you both as a director and a writer, and as a performance in it, that I was just like, where is this going? So, you know, how do you come about making something which is so kind of sporadic, I guess is the way I would describe it.
Look, the book was great, and the book did what you're saying there, did all those things to me when I read it, and then as a filmmaker, gets your radar going, and there's particular points in it about a third of the way through third of the way through that everything changes, and I thought that's remarkable. That's really interesting, you know. So that was probably that, and then I think just a combination of just making the film. Really, I don't question it too much. I just sort of follow my own instincts, and you know, hope other people like it. You know,
and Max, your performance in it is so unusual because, unlike say other potential serial killers, where they might have a certain charm about them, but you know, like Hannibal Lecter or some of the famous ones, you know you're not supposed to like them.
Sure.
But in your case, in this, we actually are on your side because obviously there's a greater problem going on in the town. Like, were there any kind of influences for you when it came to playing the character?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I wonder. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
You were channeling Michael Caine, weren't you, the whole way through?
The whole way.
That's the accent. I knew I'd heard that somewhere. So I guess as a director then, because sitting there watching it, there's some influences as well in the film. Watching it, you know, there's obviously John Carpenter a little bit. There's people are like saying this is our generation's Donnie Darko, but when you're coming to adapt that book and coming to how the film looks and a performance as well for Max, you know, were there specific influences for you?
The problem is we spent 6 years getting it off the ground, so there were, but you've probably hit most of them there. I mean, I think because with the book, set in the Midwest, and in the book it's North Dakota, which is next door to Minnesota, so obviously the first thing came into mind with the snow and everything was Fargo. And then the humor matched that. You know, it's totally. That Midwest kind of humor. So that would have been the starting point. And then everything, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Robbie and me talked about River's Edge. You remember that film? So it was a young Keanu Reeves. It had, I can't remember half. When you look back at it, it's like, it was 1986, I think. And it was one like all my generation watched on VHS, you know. And it was a very gritty, it was probably the first gritty, grim kind of teenage film, you know. I can't think of the name of the sort of... okay, so the brain gone complete. Motorbike film, Peter Fonda and...
Oh, Easy Rider.
Other actor, Peter Fonda and...
Dennis Hopper.
It's great, it's 20 questions. So Dennis Hopper's in River's Edge, and he's extraordinary in it as well, you know. So that was one of them. 70s films in general, because we just liked them. You know, Robbie and me talk a lot about them, because I think... they always say everything happens 10 years later in Hollywood, and so the 60s in film was the 70s, which is where the old studio heads and that kind of lost control because they didn't know what the kids were watching anymore. And so you have a generation of directors who were just given the keys to the candy shop and sent out there. And so the mainstream Hollywood films were really what are now the edge of like indie art house, you know. So you get so many, even in crime and like all the different genres, there was sort of an edginess about all those, you know, which is just great, you know.
And Max, it's been a little while since we've seen you on the big screen again. I suppose when you were given the script, or when the agent or whomever called you up, what was it about this project that you were like, yeah, this is the one I have to come back for?
I think it's the tone, the general tone, and like it's genuine, and there's real emotions, and there's real relationships, and it's also like funny and dry, and that Fargo aesthetic and that Fargo humor. All those things, and also like I like these people.
We Irish are pretty good people.
Because it wasn't really a gap. It wasn't much of a gap for him in that when we first met you, it was just probably 3 years after Where the Wild Things Are.
I think it was the year after it came out was when we shot the little.
The Nick Ryan, the producer, did a short film, producer film with Rory Robinson, the Irish director, called Blinky, that Max is in, and you were 10, I think, if that's it. So it's just that we've been very slow getting the money raised.
Yeah.
That
I think it definitely worked out. I'm glad I was as old as I was when we finally shot.
Yeah, no, it's true. Because if you'd been 13 or 14 in our low budget schedule in minus 20, and the fact that you're in every scene, we'd have killed you, basically. Which might have got us good publicity.
You'd want to go see it.
Yeah,
totally.
Where's the scene where
I'd be making all these somber speeches about what a talent he was and what a waste,
And you can still see his frozen kind of statue in the town that you filmed it in.
Like Harrison Ford in Star Wars. Exactly. We'd bring it around to all the festivals.
You see how many people ask you questions then, just like, what did you think? Oh, no, he's not here.
You could have embalmed me.
We could have,
That would have been a nice little prop as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been brilliant. Yeah.
We can't not talk about Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
He is one of the most underappreciated chameleons, I think, in cinema. And in this, he goes from... See, it's difficult because I don't want to say too much. There's a lot that...
There's a duality.
Oh, yeah. He goes through some changes, let's say.
Yeah.
I have to ask, what was it like working with, a living legend, both, as a director and as a co-actor?
Ridiculously easy.
Yeah, totally.
He's lovely. It's terrible. It's really boring because he's lovely. He's really shy. He's a tiny bit deaf now, but he's very... fit. I mean, God help us. He's 78. He's fitter than I am, probably. We're in a tiny town, and the one contract thing he had, because he didn't have, what do they call them in rock bands? With the
riders?
Yeah, he didn't have any riders except one thing, that he wanted a gym in the hotel because he always goes to the gym every day for an hour, and we couldn't give him that, so we found one across the road.
Yeah.
And in fact, that lovely shot of him on the exercise thing came from the fact that on one of our days off, Robbie Ryan, cameraman and producer on the film, happened to go in there looking for a steam room, I think, to his aching bones, and he comes upstairs next to Christopher Lloyd on thing, and he ran back and said, we've got to get him in there on the shoot day and shoot him, and it's become one of the signature scenes in the film, that like it's just so mechanical and amazing. So no, Chris was brilliant, really clicked with you, and was at the site generous with you. There was no ego there at all.
Yeah.
For God's sake, he could have just come in, where's my check type performance, and it was the opposite, and then as he got more and more into it, he could see that even though it was not a studio film, the opposite of a studio film, terribly low budget and everything, was that there was a genuine heart from all of us to make something really interesting. Plus he loved the character. He didn't get to play characters like Mr. Crowley for years, so that was tough. I'm sorry, he was saying, not tough, he was saying that he'd done so many kind of the last few years films where all they wanted was Doc Brown. It was such a disappointment to him because he loves Doc Brown, but he doesn't want to repeat it on a low budget film.
No.
So in this one, he got to play something completely different, and it reminded him of Gothic classics like Frankenstein and Dracula, in that sorry, I'm not giving away much. The kind of villain that you have empathy for,
absolutely,
as opposed to the boy who's the hero, has no empathy.
And as as a co-actor, did he impart you with any particular wisdom? Someone who's worked for decades.
Not in a way where he would verbalize something specific, but I mean that's how that process works between two people. Is you're playing off each other constantly. So I think that both of us had an evolution in that regard with each other.
Fantastic, Max and Billy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, lads.
Cheers.